And from Johannes, we'll move on to our next physical guest in the studio as well. We have Sacha Helfenstein, Director Advisory, Solteq Data and Commerce. Great to have you here.
Thank you.
Straight from Jyväskylä. You took the morning
train through the forest, yes.
That's good. It's not that always 3 hours. It's not too long for Jyväskylä to Helsinki.
It's 3.5 hours, but with the airplane it's like 2:50. So it's better take the train.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Hey, you're going to talk about 2 simple formulas to digital B2B you should understand. But to begin with, what is and who are Solteq?
Good question.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, not everybody's familiar with Solteq. So it's fair to state that it's not a solar technology company, so we're not producing solar panels.
Okay, it could be, yes.
It could be, yes. We're actually a leading digital business agency in the Nordics. So we're rooted in Finland, then operate across Scandinavia, have customers until Spain.
Focusing on B2B or B2C as well?
B2B and B2C, okay. Big to medium-sized enterprises, manufacturing, energy sector. Basically, you can buy from us the whole digital business stack, from ERP to the channels and the cool mobile apps.
All right. Sounds good, and a lot to choose from.
Yes, a lot to offer.
Yeah. Hey, I heard you have a degree in psychology as well, which is very interesting. So what does a psychologist do in IT? Is that a good question as well?
Yeah, sitting on the couch. That's what psychologists do. We should switch places.
And you said the couch is the sofa is sort of the same
as at home. Exactly. Yeah. When I was 20, I was thinking, what should I invest myself into? And probably came to the conclusion that as long as human mankind exists, it probably makes sense to understand how human beings tick. And that was a good choice because then came the whole digital wave and we tried to figure out how that impacts human beings and what was the mega trend in business for the last 15 years. It was, everybody wants to be human-centric and experience-driven, and there's a science for experience, and it's called psychology. So,
but it's very good. It reminds me of a story. Someone asked that if I should invest now in something which is still valid 1,000 years from now,
yes.
What would it be? And someone said, well, I think sex will sell even in 1,000 years. So it's about the same sort of...
It's part of psychology as well.
Yes, that's really good. Hey, at Solteq, you head advisory, your director advisory. What do you see as your mission?
Well, we help our customers navigate kind of the labyrinth of digital transformation. Personally, I always try to say to my customers in the first meeting, I personally make sure that you are not getting what you want. Then I have because I need to make sure you're getting what you need.
Okay, all right.
And that's often a difference. And the difference usually comes from talking too early about technology. Like we need this kind of technology thing because our competitors also have the same thing. But we should talk more about why. What does business actually want to achieve before we go to the technology talk?
Sounds excellent. Sasha, great talking to you here briefly before your presentation, but now it's all yours with 2 simple formulas to digital B2B you should understand.
Yeah. All right, great to be here. I've seen a few talks already today. It's a good day. My name is Sacha. I'm here on behalf of Solteq, and I'm originally from Switzerland, now living since 20 years in Finland, and that's a long story. I'm not going to talk about that one. Instead, I brought to you 2 simple formulas to digital B2B. We just heard a lot about B2B business and e-commerce from Johannes, and this is actually an excellent intro to because I'm going to extend on top of what you heard from Johannes. So the 2 simple formulas, you really don't need to be a professor in physics, or B2B is more than B2C. Let's look at that. B2B or digitalizing B2B is more than just bringing an e-shop or a web shop online. So it's more than packaging your goods and services into a product catalog, uploading that, publishing into a website, and then building the funnel to the checkout with the basket. There is more in B2B for you to leverage. And that's where I also extend towards what we heard from Johannes. Actually, a lot of businesses cannot just publish a web shop with their products because their products are very complex, or they're even projects, so they cannot just be packaged into a product catalog. You still might think, well, of course B2B is more than B2C, but it's not so obvious. Actually, the dominating narrative around digital B2B in the recent years been we just need to catch up with B2B to where B2C already is in terms of digital experience and the look and feel and everything. And that's true. That is important. But it doesn't mean that you should just equate B2B with B2C. It doesn't mean that an individual or a company have the same kind of needs in terms of the functionalities, even if the user experience should be similar. This over-equating and oversimplifying is what I saw also with our own customers. For instance, working with teleoperators, they sell you the subscription, so the individuals can make calls, and they also sell to family, so they have their family plans. And some operators, smaller ones, were thinking, okay, we also want to sell to businesses. Now we are already selling to families. Couldn't we just treat the business like a family? So maybe the mother could be like the boss, and the father could be the fleet manager, and the children are kind of the team members. And that worked quite well for this kind of family business. Then come more complex businesses, and they have different sites, cost centers, and then they were thinking, but the family could have like a summer house and a main house and 2 bank accounts. And you know where the story goes. At some moment, this user model just made poof, and it didn't work anymore. So there is technical limitations as well to equating B2B and B2C. But let's look at how B2B is actually more than B2C. First one, very obvious. Market size, market potential is 2 to 3-fold that of B2C. And it grows as more digital services are introduced into the B2B relationships. Reasons for it being bigger is every B2C service is actually rooted in a B2B value chain. So businesses directly offering services and products to end consumers, they also have their suppliers and partners and so forth. Then B2B is also bigger because it's a global trade. Across borders from one side of the world to the other is more common in B2B than B2C. And finally, there's more than just an e-shop. There's more to monetize, and we're going to come back to that. So congrats if you're in B2B. A lot of money to be made. And next slide, actually, I will make the point, everybody is B2B, even if you're in B2C. So there is more business model variance in B2B compared to B2C. You have the conventional where you're producing goods and you're selling to business customers, or you have the retails, wholesales, where they ship and forward goods that are meant for business customers. But there's a lot of other ecosystems where businesses meet other businesses. In marketplaces where you're side by side with other sellers, or you're coordinating a marketplace, or where you have to onboard sellers and manage those partners. Or at Solteq, we work a lot with manufacturers that have close relationships with their distribution networks that they need to enable for getting their goods to the market. This is the other way. All businesses work with suppliers, or you work with partners that are in your value chain of bringing your goods to the end customers. All of these relationships, even if your customers are B2C customers, are B2B relationships you have with those partners. And wherever you have an interface with another business, you can improve the experience there to deepen the bond. You can create more fluent processes to save costs, or you can even introduce services that they might be willing to buy from you, those partners as well, not only the B2B customers. Next, way in which B2B is more than B2C is demand for digital. And that is a little bit counterintuitive. We believe usually that private people are really hungry, for digital services. And we are, of course, with social media and so forth. But when we see what happened in business, and we heard it also earlier today, also the business buyers went online and they prefer searching online for products and negotiating there and even buying and checking it out. Gartner predicts, as many of us must have heard, that 80% of the sales transactions in 2 years will happen online. I mean, that's a magnitude way above of B2C, where we're in the e-commerce retail in the 20 to 30% in the next 2 years. So question is, where are you on that journey towards these 80%? And we talk about in our deep dive more on that. But now the juicy part. 50% of the B2B buyers are still frustrated with the experience they get. And 90% would be happy to switch provider and even pay more for a better experience or a more convenient process of interacting with you. That's your competitive turf right there. B2B is also more than B2C in terms of channel mix. That too sounds counterintuitive because we usually also equate like this omni-channel phenomenon with the B2C. But if you look at the B2B channels where you have your traditional, meetings face-to-face, over phone, emails, you have your web and brand sites, then you have very typical B2B things like procurement portals, you meet other business partners at trade shows. You're negotiating over video conferencing, Teams and Zooms and whatever with your customers throughout the life cycle. And it makes for a very fragmented world, which is no surprise that about, I would say, 90% of the customer contacts we have at Solteq from B2B customers are how can we consolidate this channel mixture? How can we unify into a single digital interaction touchpoint, which are quite often the renewed portal solutions towards customers, partner portals, supplier portals, and so forth. B2B is also more than B2C in terms of business capabilities you need to cater for. Typically, the stack you have is very similar between B2C and B2B. So that's not the thing that you need to worry about, the architecture. There is some differences, but it's not the main thing. The main thing is the emphasis on certain functionalities. So if we look at the customer life cycle, really from getting aware and buying or developing offerings and approving those, and then onboarding or purchasing, receiving the goods to the in-life, paying for stuff, getting supported and ordering again. There's a few things that stick out. First of all, CRM is much more focused on this pipeline nurturing and lead management. Then you have in your product management, the catalog management, much more about custom catalogs with custom pricing, even to the individual user roles on your buyer side. You have a lot on configuring complex products, quoting these products, then developing the offers, negotiating around these, approving processes with different roles involved. Onboarding, usually B2B buyers or B2B relationships are known relationships, so you need to onboard these customers in a fluent way. Then delivery, logistics, shipment, scheduled shipping is a big topic. And then we come to the in-life. Typical for B2B is quite often that you're selling, especially if you're selling physical goods, they're expensive equipment and machines that have a long life cycle. And now you can plant a lot of services on top of this long life cycle, like monitoring the usage, IoT sensors inbuilt there with data that you can feed back to your customers, spare parts, maintenance, repair, and so forth. Finance, we heard before from Johannes, invoice management, installments, credit management, and then orders. A lot in B2B is about repeating orders, recurrent orders, automated orders, because they need the same type of stuff over again. And finally, B2B is more than B2C in terms of monetization potential. And here we come to the second formula. It's more than your e-shop. Selling your core portfolio of services and products is, of course, one thing, e-commerce, and that's important. But selling services, value-added services on top that make it easier to order, easier to buy from you, easier to onboard to you as a partner, easier to get support from you, easier to pay. These are kind of meta services that you can monetize in B2B. Think of it like that. You're a business. You have certain things you value like predictability, quality, resilience, reliability. These are all values also for your customers. If you can offer services and processes that add into those kind of value arenas, they might be willing to pay for that. With ABB, we have a long-lasting relationship where we launch different kinds of services, and some simple examples like they have an order tracker app which makes it really easy for their customers from the moment of order through the production to the delivery and shipment and everything to get real-time transparency of where their make-to-order progress is so they can get prepared. Also, we at the moment working with them on a quality management system where it's easier, more imminent for their customers to identify incidents, report those, trigger diagnostics, trigger mitigating actions on top, repairs, and ABB can get that data so they can do problem management on top of all these incidences and start preventing the same things to happen again. You might have customers in your customer base that are willing to get a prime seat with such a service and pay for that. Also, B2B companies usually have quite rich data on their customers because they're known customers. So you create your own customer 360. Well, think about that your customers are very keen on understanding that mirror picture of themselves as well. What is my commercial behavior? Which products I'm buying? Which products I miss to buy from you? What are competitors that you also have as a customer buying from you? Benchmarking against those. So this is kind of information that you can offer. Also, Mitta is a company we work with that just launched a portal a couple of weeks back. They even charge with subscription models the access to portals because there are such values that customers are willing to pay for. So a portal does not always even have to be free, or at least that there might be freemium and then premium versions to that. And then finally, maybe sustainability is a big topic in the world today and in B2B as well. And what is the new wave of sustainability is not just that you get more sustainable, is that you help your customers get more sustainable. Now, as a B2B provider, you have a much better visibility into the supply chain, where the goods are coming from, how the logistics works. If you can offer that insight for your business customers or partners to make smart choices, they can improve their sustainability. Some of them might be willing to pay for that kind of information. Altogether, I think we have around 20 use case areas identified where you can monetize value use cases to your customers or partners in B2B relationships on top of just doing e-commerce. And we are happy, of course, to discuss with those about those with you. To summarize, gearing up for digital B2B, that's my main point, needs a bigger picture and ambition than just catching up to the B2C. Of course, you should catch up in terms of the experience, the user experience, for instance, or the look and feel, but there's more in it. We went through 6 argument areas: market size, business model, digital demand, the channels, the capabilities, and finally the monetization arena that we would like to deep dive with you on. Bottom line for all of this to happen in a digital environment is that you get your B2B relationships, customers, partners, suppliers, distributors online with you to interact there. And the question is, how can you get the people incentivized to get online with you into portals or other digital interfaces that you offer? let's meet again in the deep dive, or otherwise have a great day. Insightful stuff happening here. Thank you.